laser over the last like 6 months. And today was my first appointment with electrolysis. I was super nervous when I got there. And 1 second. And I get there and I'm like super. She's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm a little nervous." And she goes, "It's less painful than the laser. You'll be fine." I'm like, "That's not what I read online. I read otherwise online. Electrolysis is much more painful." For anybody who doesn't know what it is, basically you take a small needle and they put a needle into the hair follicle where the hair is, and then they run heat and they heat the needle up really fast and quick. That heat then basically singes the hair follicle, and then they use tweezers and just pull the dead hair out. Yeah, it feels like it sounds. Anyhow, so I'm there and she does one on my cheek because my cheeks aren't very sensitive. She does on there and like, oh, that didn't hurt at all. No problems whatsoever. It's perfectly fine. So yeah, she does. Then she moves on and starts doing them on my chin, and yeah, it's an experience. It didn't hurt as bad as I thought it was going to be, but actually that part that hurt bad is when she pulled some of the hairs out because they weren't like all the way out. So she just grabbed, it's like basically just plucking hairs out of my skin. I'm like, ah! At some point though.
Pickle said, "Congrats on the hair removal though."
Oh yeah, it's my first of 40 appointments. I have to go every week for 40 weeks. She did an area the size of basically twice my thumbnail on my chin. That's how long. 200 hairs took an hour. There's about 12,000 hairs on my chin, or face. Anyhow, so
oh good lord.
Yeah. And so I'm there, and then she turns on music like this, like some kind of smooth jazz music in the background, and she tips the table I'm laying on just a slight bit down because my back had hurt a little bit, so she tipped it down a little bit so it was more of an angle. I fell asleep. In the middle of electrolysis. Apparently I was laying there like this, and she was doing have my eyes closed with the music.
Har har.
And my arm just went badoom and fell off the side of the table, and my eyes were closed. And my eyes were like, what am I saying? Here, do the right button. There you go. And I was like
2 years, you beautiful fish.
And so she just kept doing the electrolysis, and she goes, finally she's done. She tells me, she's like, hey. I'm like, what? And I just nodded off for a second. She goes, "You've been asleep for like 25 minutes." I'm like, what? I go, did you stop? She goes, no, I finished. She goes, "It was so much easier to work on me when you weren't talking the whole time." I'm like, oh, I'm offended. I thought we were friends and chit-chatted.
Cookie Chen said, "Well, makes it easy to do it, and you don't have to wait karat."
I know, so she was just like, she's like, zip, 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 zip. So I got this whole little line on my side of my face just got done. I wasn't even aware, totally unaware, which is, if I could sleep through all of it, I would do that. But yeah, I passed out. I don't know how. It hurt. It hurt bad enough that it was making me flinch, but I must have been tired, and it was sort of comfortable, and the music was nice, and it was warm, and there was someone like rubbing my face gently with their hands. It's like I just fell asleep. Even though for the stinging pains on my face, it's like I slept right through it. So that was my first day at electrolysis today. That was it was an adventure. I was not expecting to fall asleep. But yeah, it happened.